4 days down and 4 to go in the AFL trade period, and we're just starting to get a little bit of a great idea of the landscape, but there's still lots of big deals to get done. This is the Fox Footy Podcast. Ben Waterworth with you alongside two of our trade news hounds, Ben Cotton and Will Faulkner, and the pick 77 back in the 1994 draft as a 16-year-old Ben Dixon. That was a long time ago.
Diamond in the rough I was. 77.
So you get drafted as a 16-year-old in 1994, spent, 2 seasons on the edge of the Hawthorn list?
Cutting my teeth, almost delisted. And then I'm a great talker. I convinced them to let me stay. And they got 200 games out of me.
Yeah, and very nice.
Do you know who another pick 77 is?
Who?
No one.
Really?
I am the best 77.
You claim
Draft
to
doesn't go that far anymore.
Pick 77.
They always pass now. 77 pass.
I think there might only be 60 picks this year as well.
Market
So
areas.
you still live on in folklore. Great to have you on board. Ben, you're going to explain first. I suppose it was a bit of a bombshell today. Leek Aleer and St Kilda pulling out of Leek Aleer because they have been linked to the Giants defender all season, basically.
Yeah, very much so. This is the story of the day and maybe the story of the trade period in some regards, if this actually does happen and they no longer pursue him. So, as you mentioned, they've been into him for months. They've been courting him for a couple of years. They were linked to him 2 years ago. So, they've been wanting him for a long time. This was finally their chance to get him. And now that it's come to negotiation time, they've pulled out. So, we don't know exactly what's happened at the moment. Is it that they weren't prepared to get rid of this future second-round pick? That's what some are saying. Or is it that they couldn't get all this money out? That's, I guess, the other potential theory of what's happened, because they've been busy, they've been recruiting, they've brought in Liam Ryan, they've brought in Jack Silvani, Tom De Koning and Sam Flanders. So they've brought all this money in. Callum Wilkie's contract got upgraded. I just wonder, the conspiracy theorist in me, if they've gone, this is too much, we can't afford to do all this, conversations were too hard with the Giants, we can't do this anymore, and they've pulled out.
But as you point out, Fork, on Monday, Graham Gubby-Allen, in that very intriguing press conference, has to be said on Monday, essentially alluded that they were confident they could get it done.
Yeah, he did. So to the wider group of us that were there on Monday morning at Marvel, he didn't say anything. He wasn't asked about Leek Aleer, and then he spoke to AFL media straight after, and he said the words, Dicko, we'll get it done. They're going to get Leek Aleer done. So something's changed in that last 72 hours. I'm not sure what it is, but it's opened the door for a plethora of other clubs.
There's a lot of unknowns, but it's not the best look on the outside, is it?
Oh, it's not really. When you commit to someone, obviously non-binding, but when you say, we're going to give you this much money, Giants go, we can't match it, all the best, and he says his goodbyes, and then you turn around, in the early stages of the trade period and you go, well, we're not going to get this done now and we're pulling out. That doesn't look good. The optics of that's not great. And when you consider Gubby coming out, which I love Gub, and he comes out and goes, we've got plenty of money. If the money's the barrier, then we've all been fooled, haven't we?
Is there anything in the Jack Steele conversation here? Because they want to try... Well, they haven't explicitly said this, but there is an openness from St Kilda, I think, for Jack Steele to explore his options. Is there a sense, guys, that if Jack Steele was potentially... that salary is off their books, that it might help them get Leek Aleer?
I reckon so. The two that have been mooted to be traded are Rowan Marshall and Jack Steele. We know negotiations between Geelong and St Kilda for Rowan Marshall are sort of at a bit of an impasse, bit of a standstill. We don't know exactly if that's going to happen or not. And Jack Steele, frankly, at this point doesn't have any notable suitors, or that there's nothing happening in that space. And apparently he wants to stay at St Kilda. That's what we've heard the whole time. So, as I mentioned before, you upgrade Wilkie's contract, you bring all these guys in, maybe something had to give at some point and someone had to go, and maybe that is Leek Aleer.
Can I throw another theory in? That there's discussions in the back end of another player that's probably more experienced, that can go into defence, that the money's better spent on, that we don't know about yet. So are we looking at a curveball coming, a little twist in the trade period with the St Kilda defence?
We've heard Jordan De Goey's name get sort of rumoured about, that maybe he's getting dangled around by Collingwood. We're hearing Sam De Koning, maybe it could be available to some extent. So there could be a curveball. There's still 6 days to go. There's plenty that could still happen.
You know how many conversations happen in the back room. So we're not privy to any of it. We just speculate a lot of the time. But based on that decision, I reckon there's still a twist to come.
Just on Leek Aleer, because it does open the door now for potentially other clubs to get involved, Fork, if they want. Can you see him fitting at any other team?
A lot of them. I've been quite big this year on North Melbourne. I think he's someone that North could use very well in their defence. Brady Rawlings came out and said on Monday at the same press conference that they're not really interested in getting a key defender this trade period, so maybe they're not too keen on Leek. I don't know if their mind changes now that he's become more available than what he was before. I think the Bulldogs,
That's the one, Dicko?
That's the one I'm on. If Jamara's going to move and that contract's Leek Aleer would fit in beautifully there. They need a defender. They need an exciting defender, a running defender.
Yeah, and a good age profile as well, because I don't think they are keen on acquiring Stephen May because he's a little bit further into his career. Leek Aleer is still quite young in his footy journey, so that does make a lot of sense. Just on Jack Steele in particular, who you mentioned beforehand, Matt Rosa was asked about him, the Essendon list boss, on Monday, and said we are interested in good characters, but didn't go all in for Essendon to go in for Jack Steele. Do you think he'd be a nice fit at the Bombers?
Lucky enough to work with Jack for a couple of years part-time at the Saints. You will not get a better character, man who sets standards, trains hard, does everything right, a true leader. I think would be fantastic where Essendon are at right now with their young group. They're going to try and consolidate themselves this year, and he'd give them great stability through the midfield there. And great experience is hard to come by, and I think if you can grab it for a year or two, and especially where he's at, which I don't think his footy was floundering at the end of the year, I think he's a chance.